Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome, everybody. I apologize, my voice is messed up again for the nth time. I keep getting sick. I don't know why. Last year and a half, been having a lot of problems. Maybe it's my punishment for bragging that I almost never get sick because that's not true anymore. Anyway, so I'm coming off the flu and my voice is all trashed, but we're just going to do our best. Let's see who's in. Q Kokmani, Gabrielle Fillion, Kai Lucas Zachary, Ghosty333, Janice Windsor, Moonlit Illusion, PG22424, Nagra Sagiel, Bit of Venom. So some people are coming in. Data Junkies in. All right, so I've got a lot of stuff to cover today, so I'm going to try to cruise along a little bit. This one just caught me today. I saw a mention of flight MH370. That's that Malaysian Airlines one that went disappeared, and they had that giant search for it for years off the coast of Australia, and never found it. And 10 million conspiracy theories. Joseph Correa's in, KDB, Susan Gunther Photography. Welcome, everyone. So, anyways, this is what caught me right away today. This is it. The story is different than I remember it. The first thing is that the story says that now it says that the flight went off across the peninsula here and then circled back over land and went the opposite direction. That's not what happened for me originally. I suspect that geography's changed a bunch, but I do remember that it went out over the ocean and then it turned over more ocean. It did not circle. This almost reverse track, and here's an image of it here. Let's see if it gets any larger. Not really, but so it went over. This is the route they think it took. Last known location over here, which is complete opposite direction. That's not how it was. So now the story, apparently known since 2016, is that the pilot was discovered to have practiced this suicide mission on his flight simulator. And the suicide flight simulator mission he practiced, apparently in secret, but they found it on his computer, was very similar to the route that the plane actually did start to take, although they don't know where it finished up at. But I don't remember any of that. Now, they were saying that he was above reproach. They had absolutely zero reason to believe that he would do anything like that. But apparently now, since 2016, they knew that he did this suicide mission on his simulator. And there's all these people saying that he was really depressed and would pace at home and all this weird stuff. So now it's like a whole different story on it. So here it is. Shows that the plane's captain, Zaharia Ahmad Shah, conducted a simulated flight deep into the remote southern Indian Ocean less than a month before the plane vanished under uncannily similar circumstances. Okay, so this yellow line here is the direction the plane actually, they think, took. And I don't remember the actual search area being that far away from Australia. But that one is not as much as, I'm not as sure of as, but and this red one is the one that they found on his computer over here. So I think it's really weird. Anyway, so I call Emmy on that. First of all, the plane did not backtrack over land. I'm sure of that one. Second of all, they didn't have any good evidence of the plane, the captain being culpable. The closest they had was that they said that some of the stuff was turned off from inside the plane, so that they thought that somebody who knew the plane really well would have had to have done that. That was the closest that they had at the time. The final thing over here is supposedly The captain of another aircraft attempted to signal the crew after 1:30 to relay Vietnamese air traffic control's request for a crew to contact them. Now, I don't remember this happening. The captain said he was able to establish communication but only heard mumbling and static. I don't remember anything about them hearing any mumbling. There's absolutely no mumbling in my timeline, so that whole thing is just weird. I don't know what to say. I don't know if that's the storyline you guys remember, but it's not the storyline I remember. And as often after I get sick, there's like 10 million MEs now. Let's see what you guys are up to here. So is that a moon bow? Actually, the moon bows are down on Earth caused by the moon. We did cover those last week. That is a moon halo, they're calling them. So it's actually around the moon itself. Now what's changed is that, we're talking about the thumbnail image. I'll jump to that next so I don't forget it. What's changed now is that you can have multiple rings. That one happens to be on a moon, but there's also not just like multiple rings like radial, just one inside the other. Just started seeing that. I don't know if you guys watched that, the YouTube channel Mr. MBB333, but he had one on recently, and I still haven't seen one live with the pillar lights either. I do see the moon halos very often, although I have not seen a double one, but I have definitely seen those. Single halos around the sun and moon are very common here. And it's interesting because they were first saying that those are like a cold weather phenomena that happened up at the Arctic when they first showed up. Yeah, but they're here all the time now, and this is not a cold weather location. Talking about the weird bluish low-hanging clouds. Yeah, they're kind of gray. I should have taken a photo of it. I actually have an old calendar that has a picture of clouds, and suddenly there's these really dark, little tiny ones splotched around in front of the more regular looking ones. And it looks like it's photoshopped in. It looks ridiculous. I don't think those were on there when I first got that calendar. I think it was more normal clouds. Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about that strawberry moon thing. Someone says, Ghosty33 said, saw pillar lights once, but years ago, yellow moon out tonight, wrong position in the sky. Yeah, I know a lot of people have talked about the strawberry moon and all, we've got all these colored moons. They actually are saying it's called the strawberry moon because it's strawberry picking season. Nice stretch there, guys. I don't remember strawberries being that important a crop in my old timeline back in the old days. Maybe now, but not back in the old days. Anyways, what's weird about that one is I've been saying for a while the moon's kind of disappearing. So, we used to have the moon out every night. Some of us did. Every night it would come up at sun. The sun would go down and the moon would come up right after. And then the moon started going out half at night, half during the day. And then the daylight moon has gotten really hard to see. A lot of times they say it's near the sun and it's not bright enough. So now we have moon half at night, and not that much can be seen during the day. For a while you could see all kinds of moon during the day, but now no. I mean, you once in a while see it, but it's not often. All right, so now what I've really noticed is the orbits on the moon are much more variable. And so what they're saying about this strawberry moon is that it orbits down low at the horizon so that it looks reddish because it has more atmosphere to go through, and that makes it look reddish. But the thing about it is it's hard to find. So I went out yesterday and tried to find it, but there was trees and hills and stuff, and it was completely hidden. It looks like, I don't know if it was all night, but I couldn't find it because it was too low in the sky every time I went out there. So now we have another situation where first I couldn't see it during the day, even though it's supposed to be out. Now I can't see it at night because the orbits changed. So again, that we have another situation where the moon is getting harder to find and is visible less often. So I don't know, is it going to try to phase out the moon or what? I don't know. I mean, it's getting brighter at night anyway without the moon, so you don't really need it, but more crunchy map and oh yeah, I'm glad it wasn't just me because I saw that map today. I'm like, wait a minute, it did not backtrack the land. Okay, so the story they're saying is that Malaysia tried to hide his depression, but you look at these articles; they're from 2016. So this is there's a whole slew of them from about 2 years ago. 3 years ago. 3 years ago, this was all out. There's a whole slew of them from 2016. So no. So they're saying, oh, Malaysia just hit it now. Yeah, and that is a good point. There's a co-pilot. There was one article was saying that maybe he just turned off the oxygen, and the cabin would only have 15 minutes of oxygen if he did that, but the crew would still have several hours of oxygen, so they could just like have everybody pass out and die quietly. That was one theory. I don't know. Bit of venom, no mumbling. It was clear. Last communication was good evening. Yeah, that's right. I remember what that. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that story, but it's all different. I'm waiting for triple moonbows and rainbows. It'll come, I bet you. Oh yeah, guys don't know about the strawberry moon? So that was this last full moon. It was a couple days ago. They're calling it the strawberry moon. And supposedly it's named after the beginning of strawberry season. Did anyone see anything about a woman in Bangladesh giving birth twice in a month because of 2 uteruses? No, I didn't see that. That's interesting, though. Let's see. Woman. 2 uteruses. Wouldn't surprise me, though. The heck, looks like I clipped on it before, too. Look, it's highlighted. That's weird. Woman with 2 wombs gives birth twice, nearly a month apart. That's interesting because I remember 2 births, but I don't remember 2 uteruses. I remember them saying that she got pregnant, but somehow still ovulated another egg, and then that one was also fertilized, and she had 2 in the same womb of different ages. That's what I remember. I do not remember her having 2 uteruses. That's weird. I don't know if this story has changed or what, but I really remember it. I don't remember it being 2 uteruses. All right, anyway. Sultana had 2 uteruses, a condition called uterus didelphys. Her first baby and the twins were conceived and grown in separate wombs. It's not very common to have 2 uteruses. When the uterus develops, it comes from 2 tubes, and those tubes fuse together. For some reason, for some women, the fusion does not occur, and the dividing wall does not dissolve. Huh. Weird. Okay. So women can have 2 uteruses now. Lincoln Memorial. Let's take a peek at that one. His hand is all... I don't see a ton of changes, but the hand, he looks really tense now. Used to be much more relaxed. He also, his eyes are very buggy. His beard looks kind of weird too. But that's kind of an older ME. Okay, I don't notice any huge changes since the last time I looked. The only thing I would say is around his neck, looks weirdly ruffly. Don't remember the neck looking like that. See, it looks like there's a giant spider on his neck. What's this thing? It looks like a bad Photoshop job. I don't remember it looking like that at the neck. I'm not even sure what that is. Weird. What is that on his neck? What is all that? I don't remember that. Oh, weird. Viagra makes flowers stand up straight. So are all the rich people getting Viagra for their cut flowers? Viagra makes flowers stand straight. Small concentrations of the drug dissolved in a vase of water can double the life of cut flowers for as long as a week beyond their natural lifespan. What, they have a publicized article on it from 1999. Okay. This timeline's weird. Two points out of Jesus' chin in paintings. I'm not sure what that means. 2 points. 2 points. Jesus chin paintings. 2 points. You mean like the beard thing? I can only think you mean like this. There's two like weird little, it does look weird. That's actually really weird looking. Look, he looks like he's Asian or something in that one. Renaissance. Huh. Oh, I see. I think that's what you mean, is that the beard has like, Jesus paintings. That he's got like a double beard or something. Okay, like this. Yeah, it's kind of tacky looking. The newer ones don't have it, but it looks like some of the older ones. Like here, what's up with that? He's got like a little goatee thing. Yeah, I don't remember seeing that before. Oh, weird, this one. That looks different now. All right, this is kind of a famous one of somebody tried to restore an old painting, and they didn't want to pay for a professional, so some woman volunteered to do it, and she mangled the crap out of it. But I actually don't remember it looking like this. I just saw this by accident. I don't remember the mouth all smeared. I don't remember the angle on the face. Actually, has changed. The mangling of this painting has changed. Weird. So anyway, tons of MEs for Eva since I got sick. See, even that one, he's got the 2 points. Huh. I wonder if that's supposed to have any special symbol. Look here, 2 points again. Jesus, beard. I'll do a quick try. All right, I don't see anything on the specific points, at least not yet. I don't know how, that would be one where it'd be hard to figure out. Symbolic. Let's try that. All right, I don't see anything about his split beard so far, but who knows? Who knows? That painting looks more mangled than when someone tried restoring one in my old timeline. Yeah. It's more sideways and the mouth is all... It used to be, she made it cartoonish, but they were still in the right... Everything was in the right position. Do you dye your hair? It looks lighter today. I do dye my hair, but I haven't dyed it in a while. So, I don't know. The lighting is a little different every day. The light I have is it has like a dimmer switch, so I just kind of put it approximately. But it's probably just a little different every day. All right, so what else am I working on here? All right, lots of changes in history. I'm not sure if I said the other day, but I was watching some history videos. Almost all of World War II, I don't really recognize much of it anymore. Most of the places, the names, the famous battles, the famous stories, I've never heard of them. There's very few words, names, anything that I recognize. So it's almost like it's hard to even say what's an ME because it's like what's not an ME. I don't know. All right, so I don't know if you're familiar with the famous Alcatraz Island in San Francisco. I grew up in the Bay Area, visited Alcatraz Island many times. It was famous. In this timeline, before it became a prison, it was a fort, Fort Alcatraz. That was not the case for me. Originally, it was just a prison, and that was it. But here it was part of the third system of fixed fortifications, completed in 1859, used for mustering and training recruits, blah, blah, blah. No, it wasn't a fort for me. All right, here's another one. I don't know how well you'll know this one, since probably nobody's rock hounds, but I just have to bring this in because this, it probably doesn't mean anything to you guys, but it makes me crazy. I'm a rock hound. What do you need when you're a rock hound? You need a rock hammer. The number one most famously good rock hammer of all time were Eastwing rock hammers. Eastwing. Eastwing. I shopped for many times. I even thought about selling them on my website for a while, although I decided not to. The world famous Eastwing that I have now typed in is now Estwing. Estwing. You know, a lot of the spelling Emmys, some of them I'm not sure of, and some I'm like 98% sure of. But every now and then one kicks you in the stomach because you just know that it changed. And this is one. It's lost its A. It's Estwing now. Estwing rockhammers. That's just wrong. Now I did find a few places where like people would say this is an Eastwing rockhammer. I need an Eastwing, and then the image would say Estwing, but very few. I'm not sure when this changed. It's been a while since I've shopped for one, but absolutely not Estwing. I don't know. I always wonder these damn spellings. Like, what is the point? Why? Why? Just why? Anyway, make me crazy. All right. This is a really neat one that you guys will appreciate a bit more, I think. Slow crawling lightning. Certainly never heard of it, but I've definitely covered a lot of weird lightning. This one made it onto Reddit. Just gonna let it run. So look at this lightning. It just crawls along. See, it just hangs. My old timeline, lightning would just flash, and that was it. It did not linger. It did not have weird continuing branches. It was just boom, and that was it. A lot more beautiful and interesting looking. But anyway, so we've got this slow crawling lightning now. Now you can see when they're driving. I mean, it looks like they're probably going at a fairly realistic speed. It might be a little slowed down, but lightning just never did that before. All right. Now I got to have the spiders. I apologize, but there's got to be spiders in most of the videos. Warning, spider alert. Okay, so spiders, the eyeballs, the weird periscope creepy eyes, those aren't ME for me. My old spiders just had really boring eyes. Apparently these weird creepy eyes that spiders have now reflect light really well. I don't know if you can see this, but there's a million little sparkles in this lawn, okay? So they're shining a flashlight, and there's millions of these little reflections coming back just everywhere. All right. And they hone in on one. Each reflection is from a spider. So all these dots are all spiders, all these little speckles. Because the eyes of the spiders reflect light back at your flashlight now. So you can find all the spiders by flashing that light in your lawn and then flipping out. That was not the case before. It's like, oh, you probably thought it was just dew. But no, it's all freaking spiders. Super creepy, creepy, creepy. Okay, let's see what you guys are up to. Eastwing since 2010. Oh, you know about it. Oh, God, it was so Eastwing. It was always Eastwing for me. Ferdinanda, giant tortoise, no longer extinct. Okay, a lot of stuff aren't anymore, but I don't know that one well. Now they're saying children of identical twins are siblings, not cousins. I guess you could say they were half siblings, but it's just a weird choice. I mean, genetically they're half brothers. No, I guess so. Let me think. Yeah, Half brothers. Weird choice, though. Pink dolphins, you remember those? Yeah, no, there was no pink dolphins. That's an old ME for me, though. Have you already mentioned the spider thing around his... Are you talking about... okay. We're talking about Lincoln. That style of beard is called the French Foral. French Foral. Oh, weird. The style was probably different during the Renaissance. Still. Some men's beards grow that way now. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I've not seen that. You sound so different, your voice. Yeah, I'm coming off the flu. My voice is trashed. Eastwing doesn't even make... Oh, okay, so somebody does know their rockhammers. But somebody else does remember Eastwing. The mummified dinos, yeah. First it was mastodons only. It didn't seem that much because they were sort of a very recent extinction. But I did catch that they're starting to find other frozen dinos now. Yeah, they're not... I don't know. I'm trying to think if I saw mummy ones. I definitely saw frozen dinos. They found a frozen dino lately. But yeah, there's nothing to stop them from finding them in a peat bog and saying they're mummified now. I've been... PG 2424 has been sick constantly the last 6 months. You know, the one thing I kind of realized too... right before I get sick, I feel really good. Like I have really good energy. I'm really feeling healthy, and I got a lot of energy. So it's like I am sick, and then I kind of get better, and then it's when I'm here, when I'm feeling great, that I'll get sick again, which is counterintuitive for normal germs, because usually you get run down and then you get sick. But no, So I do, that does make me wonder how much this is ME related, because it would kind of make sense. You build up your strength, and then if shifting takes a lot of energy out of you, if it's difficult, you build up your strength until you're ready, then you shift again, and then you're back down here, which kind of sucks. But all right, there's something called cat fox. If I can't shift without feeling sick, then I would like to stop shifting now. A new species of cat fox. The cat fox, a new species of carnivore. Huh. Is that it? Is that the cat fox? Oh, it looks like a cat with a foofy tail. Cat fox. I don't know, it just looks like a cat mostly. Let's see. Roaming around a French island. Employee holds up a cat fox thought to be a new feline species. Huh. I mean, it does look a lot like a cat to me. Roams the French island of Corsica, baby, a new species. Cat foxes. The cat fox earned their name because their size, larger than average cat, and their tail decorations. 2 to 4 rings on their tails that end in a black tip. Cat foxes weren't related to any known species around their world, but their DNA was similar to that of African forest cats. Huh. So, interesting. Oh, cool. So, there's a whole nother species now. Cool. Keep an eye on those. I bet you they'll change more. They look very cat-like right now, but a newly identified clam eats limestone. All right, so we got limestone eating clams and cat foxes. That'll keep you busy. I'm going to write these down. Cat fox. All right. Cute little cat fox. You guys are talking about the elephant boobs. Yeah, I covered that one a while back. It's funny because you guys are totally keep bringing that one up. And it was just like, I was like, oh, I don't even know if anybody even think this one's interesting. But I was wrong. English girl has a channel that's pointed out the changes in Russia and Spain. Yeah, I think, was it Moneybags had a little bit of hers on? I do agree with those. There's a lot of stuff. I could probably just mention a few things I've been noticing. You just kind of can go on forever about these things. They're constantly shifting, just bit by bit by bit. All right, so let's see how big I can make this. Not too bad. This waterway in here keeps encroaching. All of this attachment in here, this has been growing. You didn't used to see these waterways here. The Black Sea has been moving south west, attaching up here with the Mediterranean. It used to be way out here and much smaller. So there's going to be, I think, a big waterway all the way through. And I think the Caspian will eventually attach up because that's the pattern we're seeing is these protected waterways. So you're seeing all of this was not all like this before, all up in here. This waterway growing here. Italy has bent. That's an old one, but by bending back, it's forming this protected waterway in here. Spain was not so close here, so this makes a nice protected waterway here. That's the ME wants these waterways apparently. Also, this old ME, but United Kingdom used to be way out in the sea. They're practically kissing France now. So here we have another protected waterway. So it basically goes all the way through into here. It's attaching up over here. So all of those, the girl you're talking about was talking about these points. I agree. France is sticking out some tendrils. Spain used to be up higher. Most of this whole area, the Ukraine, it's huge now. Wasn't before. This whole area, Russia coming down here with his big finger, that wasn't like that. Russia was kind of a cohesive blob. Now it's got its finger down here. Somebody was saying it's deflated on the top. I agree with that. Let's see what else we got. I don't cover them a lot because it's just like every week they're just a little shifted, a little shifted, a little shifted. Where's going to be a good map for this? See if I can. It helps if they kind of show it better. Maybe that one? No. All right, maybe this one. Nope. All right, let's see what else. God, that one looks even weirder. I don't know what algorithm they're using, but look at how weirdly bent USA is. That one's kind of making me crazy. I'm going to try to get one of the more standard versions here. God, they all look warped. All right, let's try this traditional looking one. All right, let's see. A lot of the other stuff's already been covered, but a lot more stuff going on up here. The waterways in here are constantly shifting, getting bigger. South America is like tipped. This point used to be straight down, not as pointy. It used to be more. It looks like a key now, and like this is the part you hold with your finger, and this is the open part. It didn't used to look like that. Of course, the position way east is suspicious. Africa used to be. All right, Europe's way too small. Africa used to be more under here. The waterways, now they've talked about the deflation of Russia, but these big fingers of waterway were not there for me. That one's fairly recent, these fingers coming down. This waterway up in here above Japan, again, fingers reaching in, and by Korea, there's water fingers reaching in. Look at the shape of the waterways here by Mediterranean. Look at that. That's not right. That's not the shape of the Mediterranean. That's not what it was. Svalbard continues to bloom more and more parts to it. New Zealand is coming back towards Australia. That's kind of interesting. Although I think more like Australia is scooting over east towards New Zealand. I think it has to because more stuff's growing here. Stuff's getting squished, so it needs to come east so it could come up. Kazakhstan is Gigantosaurus. It's ridiculous. China used to be a lot bigger compared to Russia. It wasn't as big as Russia, but was it as big? No, it wasn't as big as Russia, but it was a lot bigger. Even now, if you had Mongolia, it would not be nearly as big as it was compared to Russia. Russia is massive now. India is so puny now. India was huge before. India was a really big country. I don't know. You can just kind of go on and on about these. Anyway, so there's a bunch. Nevada was mostly desert. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree. Nevada was mostly desert. Sweden is small. For me, Sweden is huge. Yeah, Germany was landlocked. This is one that not many people, I might as well just say it. I have not found many people who remember this. All right. Back around when they were saying that Germany and Poland used to be landlocked, I agree with that. Well, people could not tell me or say what countries were there. Somebody's like, well, if they were landlocked, then what countries were above them? And I actually had to think about it all day, and then I realized it was Finland and Sweden and Norway that were above them, attached here. and smaller. And they would come up over the top of Germany and Poland. They would branch off, and then they'd bend around and tickle Denmark. But then suddenly they jumped over here by Russia, and now they branch off Russia. And they got a lot bigger when they made the jump. I'd been watching them inflate, and I'm like, dang, they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then they jumped over. This finger of Russian territory has been growing too here. So for me, that's why Germany and Poland used to be landlocked. I'd be happy to hear if anybody else remembers anything else used to be on top. But if Germany and Poland were landlocked, then there had to be another country on there. So what was it? What was that country? For me, it was that appendage there. Ireland's next to Scotland. Yeah, all of that, everything's getting squished together. Before, most cats ran from dogs. Now they just sit there. Yeah, I don't know about that one. I definitely know a lot of cheeky cats right now. Italy was one of my first enemies. I couldn't believe it. My family is Sicilian. Yeah, actually, I have some Sicilian bloodlines in me. Yeah, Sicily is Giganosaurus now compared to Italy. But, Europe shrunk so much, so it may just be that Italy got puny and they couldn't squish Sicily down as much, so now it looks big. Have you seen the new Mandela movie called Yesterday? No, I have not heard of that one. I used to really diligently watch all the Mandela videos almost every day, but I'll tell you, the days are so short now. It's very hard for me to get even half the stuff. Mandela. Oh, it's not a Mandela Effects movie. Huh. It's a Mandela movie. Not many in your country see the Emmy. Yeah, I just don't see how people don't. The low density countries are getting bigger and the high density ones are shrinking. Huh, yeah, that's interesting actually. You're right, it is true that at least in comparison to each other. Even your voice is lower and your accent is different. Yeah, I'm coming off the flu, so that would explain the voice is lower. But I don't know about the accent. Could be. I mean, obviously, from my perspective, I don't have any different accent. Time is so sped up. Yeah, I just can't get anything done. It's like work, work, work. It's 10 p.m. already. I live in Australia and have not heard anything about a fifth of the country sliding into the ocean. Are you saying it is, or are you just saying a bunch disappeared? Mongolia was ginormous in my past. Yeah, that's true. Mongolia was bigger, at least compared to the other countries. All right, so where are we here? All right. All right, so I've mentioned before that clouds have thunderstorms, and storms have more of a defined line now. So you can have just the storm rolls over and it'll be like blue skies over here and then a line, and then you've got the storm. And I've covered the Charlie Brown clouds, as people are calling them, where it just rains in one tiny spot. Well, they've got it for hail now. Charlie Brown clouds hail. So it's hailing here, but not, and then it just stops. So you can stand over here and you don't get any hail, and all over here is completely covered white with hail. Really weird. Really weird. You could see more hail flopping down as he's taping. I guess that's lightning in the background also, but it's just weird. Especially considering, they say that winds keep pushing up the hail and it grows bigger and bigger until finally it gets so heavy that the wind, how much wind do you need to push up that hail? But if wind is pushing it up, shouldn't they flop around? And wind's not going to push it straight up every time, and it's just going to go straight up, straight up. If wind pushes up hail, then how come the planes never fly through giant piles of hail? I don't know. The whole thing is just weird. So I don't get how there could be that delineated a line for hail, especially. Water is formed and falls straight down, but hail is supposed to be repeatedly pushed up until it finally, the weight of it lets it fall past the wind. Oh, I don't get it. We had weird clouds, completely straight. Yeah, lots of weird clouds. Anyway, that's just the pattern that I notice for my illness, is that it just seems like I get really healthy right before I get sick. I don't know if that's it for everybody, but I've just noticed that pattern. It just seems weird because I'll be like, finally, I'm really healthy. I feel great. I'll be like, da-da. And then boom. And that doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. So, just kind of see you guys who are also getting the illnesses. Is that your pattern? I really don't know if it's just me or what. You guys got to tell me on that one. Full moon night, no stars at all. Yeah, my old timeline, the moon would not wash out the stars. They just sit next to each other. Whale teeth are changing. Yeah, the baleen looks really weird now. All right, let's see what this thing about Australia sliding into the ocean. Huge underwater volcano chain discovered off the coast of Tasmania. How come I'm just figuring it out now? That's weird. Huh. Nope, I don't really seeing it online. I'm probably typing the wrong words in. We slip into new timelines, encounter new germs. I don't know, but I got a new body, so my new body should be used to the new germs, right? I don't know. All right, so where are we here? All right. Oh, here's this thing. Never even heard of this thing before. Juneteenth. Sounds like a joke to me, but history of Juneteenth. This thing is suddenly Juneteenth is huge. Supposedly it started in Texas, and some people are saying that if you weren't in Texas, maybe you never heard of it. But then there was a bunch of Texans coming forward saying they never heard of it. But apparently, it's a very old holiday. Juneteenth. 1980 Emancipation Day in Texas became a legal state holiday in recognition of Juneteenth. Worldwide celebration commemorates African American freedom and emphasizes education and achievement. One thing that's weird, I've covered this before, is that in this timeline, Lincoln did not really free the slaves. He just made that rule for the southern states, but he did not free them totally in the north. They're also saying now, which I did not see last time I looked this up, that even in the South, a lot of slaves weren't actually freed, and they continued to work as slaves, and a lot of them were just killed instead of released, and all this stuff. So maybe it makes more sense to have an additional holiday now. Let's see. Okay, so 1862, Abraham Lincoln. It declared that all enslaved persons in the Confederate States in rebellion and not in Union hands would be freed. They're saying it really clearly now. So only the Confederate States had freed slaves. That was not the case for me. In my timeline, the northern slaves were freed first, and then they went to war for the rest of them, and then the southern states, when they lost, also had to free the slaves. They also excluded 5 states known later as border states, which were the 4 slave states not in rebellion. I guess this is new now here. So 4 slave states not in rebellion were excluded. Also, the 3 zones under Union occupation were excluded. Texas was not a battleground, and thus the people held there as slaves were not affected by the Emancipation Proclamation unless they escaped. So Texas had slaves a lot longer. So anyway, they had their own holiday, and it was called Juneteenth, to commemorate their slaves' freedom. On my timeline, their history was different. So, no, I never heard of Juneteenth. I mean, I guess you could just say I never heard of it, but I think it's very suspicious that there's been a bunch of history changes in the slavery history, and now we've got this new, to me, holiday called Juneteenth. Yeah, see, go see 333. Northern slaves were freed first. Yeah, because the Northerns were the one fighting for freedom, so they freed their own right away. The Civil War wasn't about slavery. Who knows what it was about? We weren't there. There's a lot of places in speeches where it says it was about slavery, speeches of the time. I know in the South they say it wasn't about slavery. So how much is this is spin doctoring from the more liberal states more versus the southern states? There's no way to know, but I mean there's definitely evidence, plenty of evidence in the existing documents that it was partially about slavery. Now, when I was growing up, I learned that the slavery thing was also part economics because they said that the the agricultural states needed slaves a lot more because you just need that labor on the farm, whereas the more industrial areas didn't need them as much, and so it was easier for them to free it. So they didn't try to make this big moral thing. They just basically said it's easier to free slaves if you don't need them as much. Who knows the truth? And the truth could be different in every timeline. So yeah, anyway, we've got some Texans coming saying, oh, it's always been Juneteenth, and other Texans saying they never heard of it. Suddenly exploded. I never heard of it, and now that's I've seen it twice a day on this and that Juneteenth. So go see 333. I hear the kitty. You know what? He's not here. There's a creaky fan, but it doesn't really sound like a kitty. Talking about New Zealand being not snowy enough. Yeah, it was really tropical in my old timeline. It's got snow now. KDB thinks it should have more snow. I don't know. They've got this whole thing where they can say, why is UK not freaking cold? Colder. And they always said it was because there's a warm water that would flow past and keep it from getting too cold. So there's a million excuses for why they could come up with for why an area is warmer than you think or colder than you think. The Dutch and Portuguese trade was just with Australia before the British came. In my timeline, the Brits they would just dump their prisoners on Australia and leave. They did not manage the continent. They just dump people there. So they never were responsible for the development of government there. And their flag had a kangaroo on it. It did not have the British flag. It was not a variation on the British flag. So in this timeline, and everybody was descended from slaves in my timeline. The Brits weren't there. They just would dump and leave. Yeah, Belinda just showed up, and so she missed where I said that I have the flu. I'm coming off it, but my voice is all trashed. Scott Harrison found on the old photos of the Titanic saying all passengers were saved and the Titanic towed back. Yeah, well, supposedly they reported that for a half day, and then it was blamed on the newspapers jumping the gun with incorrect data. Who the heck knows? I mean, who the heck knows, really? All right, so where are we? All right, more creepy stuff. All right, now a couple weeks ago, we saw those caterpillars in a big blob moving over each other. So apparently, this timeline likes that stuff because now we've got gnat larvae doing it. So this oozing blob is millions of gnat larvae that just all climb on each other and ooze along like a just giant, disgusting blob. See, it's quite long. So there's like a giant tail of them. This timeline loves this creepy stuff. So the storyline was that by moving this way, they could move faster. I can't see that they've gained that much speed. Plus, wherever food they're going to look for, they're going to have to compete for it. Plus, they're like a sitting duck. I mean, why don't birds just come there and just go peck, 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 and eat them all? I've actually long been confused about the whole how swarming really helps anybody survive, because it just seems to me like by gathering all the food into one place and being very conspicuous, it just makes it very easy for birds and other predators to just chow down on a giant smorgasbord of fun. And think about it. If you have 5 people and somebody's attacking you, the best way to have some of you survive is for all 5 of you to split in opposite directions. Because unless there's 5 predators that each one goes after one of you, some of you is going to make it. So sitting all together like that, swarming like that, it doesn't make logical sense to me the more I think about it. Oh, thanks, Life Matrix. $5, $4.99 on the old, whatever you call it, super chat. Appreciate it. So does it mean Australia cannot be the land down under? Yeah, I guess it'll always be under something. But even if Australia moved halfway up, there'd be some weird excuse why it's called down under. Like they used to be specializing in floor mats, or you guys are shorter than average, or there'll be some stupid reason for why you'd be called that. KDB, $5. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Lots of Australians on. King Rat, Moonlight Illusion. Are you talking about Rat Kings? Yeah, Rat Kings. So anyway, this timeline loves their creepy blobs of little insects. Ugh. I just don't get it. Now that I listen to like nature explanations, I just don't blindly accept them the way I used to. And they go, well, this weird appendage is in order to help the animal do blah, blah, blah. Well, it didn't have that appendage in my old timeline. So the whole stories are starting to sound more ridiculous. All right, that's one page. All right, Taos hum. If you guys remember the Taos hum, originally it was only in Taos for me. Certain percentage of the population would hear this weird hum. They were trying to figure out where it came from. Some people said it made them sick. 2% of the population believed to hear it. The rest didn't. But now there's a bunch of places that have this. There's the Bristol hum, the Windsor hum. There's a whole bunch of hums. And so now it's just the hum. So it's spreading. Just timeline likes the hum. And we've got all this tinnitus and stuff. I mean, since when it's going to all blend together. I mean, a higher percentage than 2% hear tinnitus these days. Persistent, invasive, low-frequency humming, rumbling, droning. Not audible to all people. So there's a whole bunch of them. See, some of these go way back, though. 1977. I don't remember hearing about the Taos hum that long ago. All right, so there's a Kokoma, India hum, but that one was figured out as being from a cooling tower. Seattle hum, never heard of that one, was a vacuum pump. Wellington hum, thought to have been a diesel generator on a visiting ship. Windsor originated in the steelworks. Never heard of any of those hums anyway. So they got explanations for some of them, but I just, and other ones no. So there's a couple that they have no explanation for that have been wrong, long running, and that's the Bristol hum and the Windsor hum and the Taos hum. It may be a manifestation of tinnitus. There wasn't so many people who had tinnitus in the old timeline. It's like everybody and their uncle has it now. All right. So lately, I was gonna try out one of those merino T-shirts. It's wool. They say that they are odor-proof. Couldn't find one because everybody and his uncle wants one right now. But I looked on eBay and they were selling one from a store that I remember as Joseph A. Banks, which is like that kind of they sell a lot of suits and stuff. Joseph A. Banks. But it looked a little weird, and so I'm like, is that it? So now it's Joe's A. Bank Clothiers. Joe's A. Bank. The new tradition since 1905. Joe's A. Bank. First of all, there was an S on here, and it was Joseph A. Banks on it. The guy is still named Joseph A. Banks, but for some reason he just decided to shorten his name in this timeline. So it's Joe's A. Bank. And I actually had to look this up because I wasn't sure of if it was the same company, but it was. Very weird. Joseph A. Banks is the company. Joe's A. Banks Clothiers. No, that's not right. Particularly known for its promotions on men's suits, established in 1905. Headquartered in Fremont, California. It's not that far. Charles Bank came to Baltimore. By the start of the 20th century, he had branched out to manufacture pants. His grandson, Joseph A. Bank, joined the small company in 1898 as a cloth cutter when he was 11. Over the next years, Joseph became a wholesale salesperson. So there was a guy, Joseph A. Bank, but I remember there also being an S. So I don't know. I guess in this timeline he didn't have an S and he did not use his whole name. Yeah, Banks, but it was also Joseph for me. He used his whole name, Joseph A. Banks. South America is more down under, won't be long. Yeah, that's a good point. South America, I wonder if it's going to start pushing up. It's kind of got out from under North America. Where's it going to go next? Have you seen spider monkeys lately? Let's check it out. Now, one thing they did not used to have is this ring around their eyes like that. Looks like they have spectacles. Now, the young ones have those weird colors. I agree that's an ME. That they did not have that before. And the bare face. Looks weird. No, they didn't have that. Look at how easily they walk now. Not the first animal that walks really effectively. Look at that guy. He's got like no hair up like this, so he has this weird, creepy smile face. There's, oh, you know what? I guess that's white fur. Still weird. When spider monkeys first came out for me, they were all dark colored. They didn't have all this white on them. They didn't have this big white chest. All right, anyway, that's... Everything is constantly changing now, just bit by bit. Ghost bat. All right, let's check out ghost bat. Yeah, a lot of the animals are getting ridiculous ears. The foxes, the bats, and then the really weird noses. They didn't have all that before. A lot of them are being kept as pets now. They didn't even exist. A lot of the ones that are being kept as pets did not exist for me. All these white ones. Nope, that's not right. I agree. All right. I think we've covered this one before. I just wanted to bring it up. I keep running into this exploding head syndrome. Exploding head syndrome is a condition in which a person experiences unreal noises that are loud, short duration when falling asleep or waking up. It is classified as a sleep disorder or headache disorder. I've noticed in recent years I occasionally get something like that. When I'm falling asleep, sometimes it'll feel like something like whooshed through my head. I don't know how to describe it. It was like, actually, it's like something was really there and like spread through my head. Like it started outside of my head and went through and came out the other side. And then it startles me awake. And there's some weird noises of whooshing or something. But each one's a little different. I think it might be able to say it's this, but I never had that. The old timelines. I don't know if anybody else is getting that. Just weird. Some Mandela Effect have reported while streaming in real time, we are seeing each other via camera from different timelines. How do you know if that's happening, though? I mean, so like one of you hears me say one thing and another of you hears me say another thing, and then it gets caught in comments. That's the only thing I could think of. Eva, do you think feet have more bones now? I think feet have changed a lot. I don't remember how many bones they had before, though, so I can't really comment on the specific ones. All right. All right, this one I don't think you've heard yet. I don't think I've covered this one. Skyquakes. So they have a word for it. We just used to call them mystery booms. Skyquakes are unexplained reports of a phenomena that sounds like a cannon or sonic boom. So apparently there's areas where they hear these regularly now. I don't I've been hearing more and more about the last few years about areas where skyquakes are common or mystery sonic booms. Banks of the river I don't know how to pronounce that. Ganges. I'm pretty sure it's Ganges. Never heard of that being a spot for the booms. East Coast and inland Finger Lakes in the United States. These Finger Lakes are near the Great Lakes. I've never heard of any mystery sonic booms in anywhere near the Great Lakes. The Magic Valley in south central Idaho. North Sea, Japan. Fern Gully, Australia, Italy. Drogheda, Ireland, and Bengaluru. Known for their skyquakes. Weird. So names that are used to the areas. Bangladesh says it's Barisal guns. Italy. Japan, cries from the sea. Netherlands and Belgium, mist puffers. Philippines and Iran, retumbos. United States, guns of the Seneca. Now, I've heard of that one by Seneca Lake. Maybe that's near the Finger Lakes. I just remember it by Seneca. But that's still kind of newish. It's a few years old, so. Moodus noise. Now, they had the Seneca guns was on some of the Discovery Channel the last few years. Moodus noises in Lower Connecticut. Fog guns and mist puffers. I've not heard of this Moodus noises at all. They have been reported from an Adriatic island in 1824. So that would theoretically rule out military testing. Frequently on calm summer days at the Bay of Fundy, Canada. New Brunswick, Cedar Keys, Florida, New York in 1896. I don't remember in my old timeline there being this long history of them. We'd hear the sonic booms and we would blame it on the military. So anyway, it's a thing. Skyquakes. SMQ AI had a real-time bleed through while streaming where a phrase looped, but the second utterance had different intonations. Huh. Oh, that's weird. I hear the word sounds here. I'm near Fern Tree Gully. California's had their LA and San Diego had streaks of weird sonic booms, but we have a lot of military around here, so everybody just kind of assumed it was the military and their secret stuff. But if they're going back to the 1800s now, it kind of rules out the latest high altitude airplanes. Some claim they show evidence like they be on one same website but saying two different things about the same thing. Okay. Yeah, could be. I've noticed on a few of the Emmys right when they were mid-shift, it seemed like maybe I was 2 days off. Like people would say, look, you can really see blah, blah in this photo. And I'd be like, no, I don't really see it. And then 2 days later, I'll look and then I could really see it. So it was like I was a few days behind some of those people. But that's been kind of the extent of it for me. So far, anyway, who knows? I mean, the ME does tend to just add new weirdness in. And I'll tell you, the real problem lately has been, a lot of my friends, we see each other a few times a month. It's gotten where stuff they said last month is not true anymore. So I'll be like, oh, whatever happened with blah, blah problem? And they'll be like, what? There was no problem there. Or that didn't happen. Oh, I thought you got in an argument with your niece. No, we didn't get in an argument. One of my friends, I've talked about his health history changing a bunch of times. But just recently he informed me that he's been he has a really long-term girlfriend, and the story was always that, I mean, people always say this, that they're never going to get married again because he had a couple divorces in his past. He's never going to get married again. But they were together so long, and then the story was that she wanted to get married, but for financial reasons they couldn't because she had this old portion of the pension from her ex, and it came from the company. So if she got remarried, it wouldn't be that he got any more money, but she would stop getting her half. And so they couldn't afford it, basically. So for a couple of years, he always told me that he didn't really want to get married, but he didn't care either way. But she really wanted to. And he's the one who said they couldn't because of financial reasons. Well, recently her ex died, and for whatever reason now, it's not a danger for them to get married. So he just informed me that for 5 years he has been trying to get her to marry him, and she's the one who said no. I'm like, no, 5 years? That was not the case even 6 months ago. So, I mean, he's not a kind of person who would lie about this stuff. It's just weird. I mean, he is too lazy to even lie about stuff. He doesn't give a rat's butt enough about these things to lie about them. So, he's one of those kind of people. So he's waxing on about how he's been trying to get her to marry him. That is just totally different story. It just totally blew my mind. But it's just hard to talk with people now because you don't have anything, you can't talk about anything from the past because you're probably wrong. People might probably think I'm a complete moron because everything is different. Like, my friend had this argument with her niece, and then suddenly she's not having any argument with her niece. And, and suddenly her niece is really helping her out with some other argument. I'm like, it's making me a little crazy. I mean, I'm glad I know about the ME because I'd be like kind of flipping out about all this non-matching up of stories. Okay, so somebody else agrees Jose Bank is weird. I saw that. I'm like, maybe it's just a whole different company, but Joseph A. Banks is gone. That's never was a company. So, and the same guy a guy named Joseph A. Bank did start the company here. The stress could be affecting your immunity. Get some. I don't think so. I'm really not. I mean, I don't like that, but I have to say, really, I've really learned to stress less about other things of life. I used to stress a lot about other things of life that I don't now because I figure everything can magically change anyway, so why all stress about it? You can't control anything, or maybe you control it all. Who the heck knows? But I'm really stressing less. I mean, it's irritating, these problems, but I would not say I'm stressing about them. So no, I really can't figure out what the deal is. I don't overwork. I am working kind of a lot, but my work is pretty easy and it's not very stressful. And I don't work more than like 40 or 50, maybe 50 hours a week. I exercise. I'm eating pretty healthy. What the heck didn't you tell the story already? I told the story about his health changing, but I didn't tell the story about his marrying. I just found out about that like a couple days ago. I mean, who knows what in timeline, some other timeline maybe, but I only just found out about him getting married a couple days ago, so I could not have accidentally told you about it. So I didn't even know about it last week on the last live stream. How's your sleep? Very important. My sleep is overall good. I always make time for sleep because I run my own business and I show up when I want to. So if I want to sleep more, I just do. and then it may mean that I'll have to stay at work later to finish, but I always do my best to get my sleep. So sometimes I sleep really. I used to be like a champion sleeper. Now I tend to wake up after about 4 or 5 hours, all restless. So what I'll usually do is I do some meditation things to go back to sleep, or I'll just bop around for an hour and then I'll go back to sleep. So get that sleep in. So that I might sleep another few hours because of that, which is very irritating just because it's inefficient. But and I do get as much sleep as my brain will let me. I mean, there's a point where you're like, no, I can't sleep anymore. Then I get up. So, Eva, how's your back kick? How's my back kick? I'm not sure what that question means. Sleep is magical. So much is unknown. Yeah, I think so many weird things probably happen. Probably happen during sleep. I think there's a lot of mystery and answers in there. All right, so where are we here? All right, this one's a weird one. This is really a weird one. This kid was having lung problems. They found that somehow he had inhaled a fish into his lungs. Oh, look, it's gone. Now, I watched this video not long ago. Like, since last week. And here's the weird part. Supposedly, the fish was not dead. It lived in his lung. It was like hanging out. Let's see if I can find. Fish pulled alive from boy's lung after inhaling it by mistake. They had video of the fish, 3-inch fish. That's no tiny fish. That's a pretty big fish to be in your freaking lungs. They had video of them getting the fish out, and it was live. Now, what's weird about to me is it's live. Hard enough to inhale a 3-inch fish, but how did it live? Fish was alive and taking his last breath when the bronchoscopy was done. Bronchoscopy, yeah. Restricting the function of both the lungs. How is this fish still alive in his lung? I mean, how is it getting oxygen? Maybe it was some kind of catfish. I just don't get how it's alive. That's the thing. Had been playing in the river with his friends. It was routine for the children to swallow live fish. Went down the wrong pipe. Boy started to feel shortness of breath. So they did an x-ray, found the foreign object. So, that was, and then it took 45 minutes to get the fish out. The fish was in there a long time. I don't get how it's alive. I don't know how that fish lived. I just don't get that. There's a saying that a lot of people are using, like, it's metal, metal. So, nature is metal. You see that all the time. A lot of people remember Joseph A. Banks. Yep. Oh, my spinning back kick martial arts. How's my back kick? Oh, you know, I did do martial arts when I was a kid. Last time I tried my back kick, it was probably better than it used to be honest. I think that this body is more agile. I'll have to try it again. Yeah, the boy survived. They removed the fish and he was all right. Is it normal for kids swimming to swallow fish? I don't know. I mean, I've definitely heard of boys doing stupid stuff. Next, plants growing in lungs. Ghosty 333, you're behind the times. That one's like a 15-year-old one. Tree seeds growing in the lungs. I can it was a stretch for me, but I figure, hey, there's moisture, there's oxygen, and there's light in the lungs. So I could see a tree. This is one of the early ones, though, before I knew anything about the ME. A tree had been found growing inside a man's lung by surgeons. Suspected cancer, but it was a tree. Look at, there's pine. A little pine growing in the... I don't remember seeing that particular one, but I saw other ones. So, yeah, a pea grew in the lung. So, yeah, trees, definitely. All right, where are we here? This would have been the more gross looking. I could have used this one as my thumbnail, but I thought I'd give you guys a break. Now, I did start hearing about these teratomas about 15 years ago. They've gotten a lot more disgusting since then. It's a kind of tumor that supposedly grows from a certain kind of cell. I have not been able to figure out if this is real image here. It might be just like an artist rendition, but I couldn't find either way. But apparently these teratoma tumors, this is supposed to be a legit one. It grew a foot. Now, I had heard about them growing teeth and hair before, but there'd just be a teeth here, all random. Now there's a whole foot. One grew a whole foot. So they're like little... It's really creepy. And I think that they have kind of... I think that they've kind of gotten more disgusting in this timeline. Let's see. So there's some that grew eyeballs too. Now some of this is just art, but supposedly there really was one that grew like an eyeball. And that's a very specialized... see if I can find that one. It's a very specialized organ, an eyeball. So it's growing feet and eyeballs and... Look at, see now the teeth are all lined up now. When I first heard about these teratomas, the teeth were all kind of random and just a few of them. But now there's, so a lot of these are art, but anyway, let's just say it's gotten more creepy. So I just want to, I'm curious where that's, well, I'm kind of scared to find out where that might go. When I started seeing like whole eyeballs and feet and stuff. All right. Now we saw a creature like this. This one was making the rounds, how long ago? This weird bug with the giant thingies on its butt. I think these little thingies have gotten bigger since last I saw it. These giant things. All right. So apparently there's a bunch of these now. A bunch of these creatures. And they've been making the rounds on Reddit. So now we finally get to see the whole thing. How these things... So this is a different one, it looks like. It's a different coloration. They're not saying what kind of moth this is, but apparently a lot of moths have this. It's an inflatable appendage that they can... so they're going to pump air into this thing, and that's going to inflate its exterior appendages. So there's the appendages similar to that other one that you saw. So they're inflatable, like with air or something. I wasn't able to still get too much info on how these are done, but they websites are saying they're inflatable now. So that's kind of a new volley on the creepy, super creepy moth. It also explains how they can fly with all that crap on them. Because this looks... I was wondering that when I first saw these. How do you move around with these giant things? And they've gotten bigger. These are bigger than when I first saw them. Half-formed twin. No, they're not. They're not half-formed twins. They're actually a tumor that grows from a certain cell. And the cell is supposed to be able to later... let me look at it one more time, because it's kind of hard to explain it. Terra. So basically, it's just a tumor. They form from germ cells. A tumor that begins in the cells that give rise to sperm or eggs. And then they're able to just form. So supposedly these germ cells then can turn into anything. And they turn into things like teeth or whatever. So it's a tumor that comes from germ cells. It's not a trapped twin or anything like that. But that's what's so creepy about it, is that they're getting more and more like a kind of creepy fetus. That's what makes me creeped out by these things. All right, this one is less disgusting by far. Now, a lot of you probably remember the fruit of the loom cornucopia Mandela effect, that the fruit of the loom no longer has its cornucopia. So apparently there is a residue. I do not remember seeing this. I mean, I haven't seen every residue in the universe. There's a residue called Flute of the loom that was done. Let's see. Let me pull it up. Oh, really? Come on now. It's gone, of course. That link used to bring, let's see. There it is. $6 hours to... All right, so here's the residue. flute of the loom. So there's a flute, and then not exactly the same stuff, but it's meant to basically be a joke off of the Fruit of the Loom original logo, except for the original logo doesn't exist. So this is like a flute instead of the cornucopia, but it has the same shape. So this guy tracked down the guy who illustrated it, found his website, sent him an email, said, "Can we ask you a question about it?" So the guy responded, and his son responded. So maybe his dad's old and doesn't do internet or knows, but so according to the dad's son who drew that art, both the dad and the son remember the cornucopia, and that's why they made the art that they did. They remember our version, the Berenstein Bears, or the Sagittarius arm version. I was a little kid when Ellis painted the Flute of the Loom cover, and I remember specifically this album being a reference to the cornucopia in Fruit of the Loom's original logo. I like how he says original logo, which is where my dad says he specifically got the inspiration for the design. And when I talked to him about it, he said, "Why the hell else would I have used a cornucopia?" So basically that guy remembers our timeline. I remember when, in my mind, Fruit of the Loom quit using a cornucopia in their logo and switched to just using by the fruit. It impressed me because I thought the logo looked better with a cornucopia in it. In my memories, this was roughly around 1978 when I was in second grade. So that's when he remembers the shift. So this is a good little bit of research here. It has a good residue, and they even tracked down the guy who illustrated it. So there can be no argument that that guy did it for that reason. The story about the boy swallowing a fish and the fish surviving. How could he have that much water in his lungs? Yeah, I don't know. I guess, there's a lot of fish that seem like they can crawl around a little bit on the land now. Maybe it was an air-breathing catfish. But then there should be like infection and antibodies should be attacking it and all that stuff, It should be, I just don't get it. I do remember the cornucopia being around longer than 78, though. All right. Let's see. So that was that guy who tracked it down as Juggling Knives on the Mandela Effects sub. Now, this is not my favorite sub because there's a lot of naysayers on here, so I don't usually spend a lot of time on there. I usually go to Retconned instead, sub, which is more friendly towards Mandela. All right. Shoot, somebody told me this one and I didn't write down who it was. This is not mine. It was one of the commenters on the channel, and I apologize that I did not write it down. It might have been Julie Holcomb, but all right, I'm going to get some water real quick. I'll be right back since I slurped down my rest of my other one. All right. This is a weird one. I do wear black a lot, you kind of noticed. it was always said that if you wear black is the worst color when you're in the sun and it's hot, you should wear white because white would reflect all the rays and black would suck them in. And I wear black enough to, I knew how true that was because I would wear black and then I could really feel that clothing, the black clothing was sucking. It was way hotter than the other clothing. And then I could really feel just that area felt really, really, really freaking hot. And then I'd be like, you dummy, you know, what'd you wear black for? But I would forget. And I did notice that last year that didn't really happen. Like, it just, I kind of noticed, I'm like, yeah, I don't really feel like I'm roasting to death, especially on my black shirt. So I started wearing it more because I didn't really feel like it was really hurting. Well, now they're saying black is the best color to wear. This is a really good find, so I regret not having have written down who it was that noticed this. And I could just say that, oh, we were just dumb all along, but I really noticed this change in the last year or so, that the black is just not roasting my hide like it used to. So now they're saying black also sucks in heat from your body and reflects it back out. And that's why, and more heat comes from your body than comes from the air. And so therefore, it's actually better because it pulls the heat away from your body. That's the story. I don't know what to say about that, except for it didn't used to be that way. So anyway, black is the good color for the sun now. Ooh. Whoops. All right, this is another one from Julie Holcomb. Found a new creepy. Now, when she said there was a Sunda, I thought she was talking about those Sunda flying creatures, but so there's another animal that's like a skunk now. Sunda stink badger. Now this is that's a really ugly looking thing. Look at that. But one thing that really struck me was it has the single stripe. The stripe that the regular skunks are kind of missing. Now it doesn't look identical because there's too much on the head. The head part is too big and then it gets small, but it has one single stripe like the old skunks, but it looks like half pig and half skunk. And it does spray a toxic, stinky, I should say venom, or not venom, but stink. There wasn't a lot of info on it. Also known as Javan stink badger, blah, blah. Similar to badgers. Name for the Sunda Islands. There's a bunch of weird stuff on Sunda. Borneo. Those places have gotten really big. Northern Natuna Islands. There's a whole bunch of islands I've never even heard of, but they're called the Natuna Islands. Wide variety of habitats. Blah, blah, blah. These are well-known, long-term known. It's not something new that they've discovered or anything. But there's not much info on them, which makes me wonder if they're new, because I have noticed that newer ones tend to have short wikis. It looks like they're fairly common. There really should be more info on them. There's not much, you'd think there'd be more info on their stink. They're able to spray the stink, but it doesn't really say much about what's in it or how bad it is or any of that. Now, I'm not from this area, so I don't know how much this is of an Emmy, but I've never heard of it, and this timeline does have a lot of statues. So apparently there's this 90-foot tall statue of Mary, the mother of Jesus, in Butte, Montana. You can see it's a pretty big statue, and it's pretty striking. It doesn't help much. I just thought I'd mention it. There's a big old story, a tribute to Virgin Mary following the recovery of his wife from cancer. He'd made a deal. My wife recovers, I'll make a statue. He got a bunch of friends. They were able to get enough money to build this giant statue. 400 tons of concrete, finished in 1985. Never heard peep about this thing. Butte, Montana. So, I don't know. It's like the, fourth largest statue in the country or something, is what they're saying. All right. I've covered this a bunch of times, but here's another example of it. Stuff like the muscles just won't stop operating. So basically, this is another example. This thing, I don't even know what food this is, but I hear some woman screaming. I'm gonna kill the sound, but whatever this thing is on the plate, it jumps off. It's all skinned. And it just starts, I mean, wouldn't you just flip your... The thing is, I mean, I can't even tell what that thing is. It's really weird. I mean, it really just looks like it's a rib and a foot or something. I don't know. And maybe it's a frog, but anyway, I'd probably scream too if that was on my plate. They're saying it's a freshly killed fish, but no, because it's got like feet and stuff. So I don't think that's a fish. Watch out for Pepe Le Pew. Yeah, last I checked, Pepe has a double stripe on his coat now too. He no longer has the single stripe. So only this stink badger has the single stripe now. Now there is one skunk that has a really wide, like the whole back is white. I really wouldn't call it a stripe though. Black cars way hotter. Yeah, I don't know if it worked for cars. They're saying that the internal heat is radiated off with shirts anyway. Stupid, just stupid. Black always absorbed heat. Yeah, it doesn't now though. It's not. I mean, I'm wearing the black shirt. I've been noticing it. I just thought maybe my heat tolerance had improved actually, but I was like, I've noticed that. It was really hot the other day. I had a black shirt on. I'm like, it's not really bugging me at all. How does light get into the lungs? Apparently, the skin and everything, it's just not, it doesn't block all the light. So, the light from outside just goes in. What are those inflatables even for? You're talking about that moth. Supposedly, it's one of those sexual attractor things. They can blame anything on being a sexual attractor now. Yeah, the cat got one stripe due to the paintbrush. That is so right. The paintbrush, he walked under the paint. Yeah, I think It changed to him walking under a wet fence or something. And never stood up either, yeah. And they didn't have all those variations with all the ridiculous colors. All right. Already covered that one. All right. I've suspected this one for a while, but this one finishes it. So, a while ago, maybe 3 years ago, after I learned of the ME, I learned of this thing called ooliths, OOLITHS, and it was little rocks that came out of the ears of fish, and they were saying that some fish had like this stone in their ear that helped them hear. And I was really suspicious of that being a Mandela, but I wasn't sure. I checked to make sure humans didn't have it, and they didn't. And I'm like, well, I don't know. Maybe I didn't know about it. But I was really suspicious because they sell these, and I'm always into selling weird animal stuff like that. And you eat fish, so you get the bone. After you eat the fish, you can fish out that bone. Well, now humans have a version of it. And so it's in your vestibular system. Now, in my old timeline, in your ear, they had hairs, and the flow of the fluids would bend the hairs, and that's how you would know. That would how you'd get your balance and stuff. But in this timeline, they have hair cells. And the hair cells make brushes, and the brushes are affected by the movement of the fluid in your ear. Let's see if I can find a good example of this. But also, we have little rocks inside there. There's 2 organs, and they have little tiny rocks, and the rocks are in there helping to move the brushes, I guess, and help us know when we move. They were never so basically you have rocks in your head now. There's 2 otolithic organs on each side, the utricle and the saccule. The utricle contains a patch of hair cells. Now, it used to be hairs. Now it's hair cells. Supporting cells called macula. The saccule contains a patch of hair cells and a macula. The membrane is weighted down with protein calcium carbonate granules called otoconia. The otoconia add weight and inertia in the membrane, enhance the sense of gravity and motion. Those just weren't on there before. I'm waiting to see if those grow. There was not, it was just hairs before. You look at the photos now, see if I can find it. I had a better image of it before. You didn't used to be able to see them, but these are the hair cells making these brushes. They just look so different now. The brushes. They used to be these separate little sparsely placed hairs. They didn't look like this. Anyway, so a lot of changes in the ear. All right, another area that we have noticed. This is a little bit older, but a lot of people have talked about this bump here on the skull being new. It's like about 2 years old for me. It's called the mastoid process. So apparently this mastoid process has little air pockets all in it. It's a new part of the skull for most of us. And it can get an infection from the ear. And it can also get all full of like this weird cholesterol problem. And then you could have big problems with it getting infected and then keep reinfecting the ear. It's called mastoiditus. An illness that did not exist in the old timeline because we didn't have a mastoid process. Bacterial infection of the mastoid air cells surrounding the inner and middle ear. Often result of unresolved ear infections. And it can all swell up behind your ear back here. It's really gross looking. And you can get this thing called cholesteatoma. Cholesteatoma. Let's see if I can write that in. Sometimes you have to get surgery for it. An abnormal non-cancerous skin growth that can develop in the middle section of your ear, behind the eardrum. $1. Thank you, Mandela Effects. Appreciate it greatly. Most commonly caused by repeated middle ear infection. Develops as a cyst or sac that sheds layers of old skin. So you actually have like this growth you can get back there. Ear cysts. I've never heard of such a thing, but we didn't have mastoid process. Destructive and expanding growth, keratinizing squamous cells. There was a better image of it before. I'm not finding the good images on this one. It's not the most useful image. Okay, so all of these air sacs can get infected in here now. That's all around the ear. That didn't used to be the case. You just have the infection in the ear. All right. Anyway, so that's a new problem. A lot of new problems I've just noticed. This timeline is getting cures for some stuff. Another one I've noticed is just a ton of meningitis, brain infections here. The brain here has a lot more connections to the rest of the body. Lymph goes up into the brain region now. So meningitis is a real big thing here. It used to be super rare. Now they've got vaccines for it and everything. I think that's another one that's up and running on here. I never did the sun double halo either. All right, so a couple things. You'll notice that there's two halos here. The other thing is some of them are starting to get that weird dark region between them that we've seen in the regular rainbow doubles. It gets weirdly dark in the middle. I have not yet seen these double rings though. I've talked about some of this business before with his new but I have not seen this double ring, so that's new. The moon can do it too. Look at all the rings on that one. I also haven't seen anything like this before where it's like right next to each other. And I'm just seeing images of that this time too. So that's a new stage in these sun dogs. Here's a really big one. It's a really bright one too. So, what's his name? Alright, so this channel, I do like to watch this guy just to see what's going on. He comes up with a lot of weird stuff that he posts about. Mr. MBB333. Somebody here on the channel on my channel linked to him once. All right, where is it? Darn it, where is it? Here. It's this one.
Sunday, June 16th, 5 p.m.
So it's right at 5:25. So he caught one where the sun goes all the way. I mean, the circle goes all the way around the whole sky. It's not just over there.
Gentleman by the name of Clay noticed not only a halo,
so there he's following
but
it.
he noticed a full
like a
ring around the
circles
sky.
the whole sky.
Look at that.
All the way around.
Goes from the right side of the sun
so
all
basically
the way around.
There's a circle here, and then another line comes off and goes all the way around the sky and then connects back up. Not heard of that before. And there's some other weird stuff. The other thing he's reporting is the sun halos, there's a weird line underneath them. And the line often looks like one of those fire clouds. He's got a number of people sending in stuff.
From people all around the world.
So there's the sun dog.
Halos.
And then there'll be this weird light fire cloud underneath it. Now he's saying it's a line, but some of them do look like they curve to me. So I think they're going to be part of that halo.
Quite common, but that line you see right there, that's something fairly new. There's another example of just the line.
There's another one.
And I've had many people send that to me saying, hey, this isn't a halo, and they're right.
There's another one. I think there's a curve there. He calls them a straight line. I don't know. It's weird, though, because it's like lit clouds instead of the whole circle. So I don't know what's going on that, but it seems like it's developing, whatever it is. All right. One last thing. That I did notice. I am not sure if I brought this one up before. I may or may not have, but it's getting more obvious. This one shows it really well. In my old timeline, the orbitals were solid bone, and the cranial fissures were in the cranium only. You had these fissures in the cranium. Now you have a cranial fissure at the orbital bone here. On some of the skulls, I'm starting to see it pinch in real tightly right there also. We did not used to have the cranial fissures anywhere besides the cranium. And I mentioned before they changed the name of those to cranial sutures. Instead of fissures, but they were always fissures for me. So they have them now all on there's a lot more bones now. There's fissures all in here. There's now fissures here. You can see this one. Fissures here. There's all these separate bones all inside the nose that didn't used to be there. This little thing that comes off here is new. There's a one out here. All these separate bones. I don't know. I would have thought that it would be more efficient to have just one bone. Like my old timeline had one bone and a few of the cranial fissures on the cranium itself, and that was it. This timeline has all these separate little bones. There's one right there also. This one's interesting because I've seen the animal skulls have had these a long time. A lot of these splits here, a lot of animals, the orbital does not always attach all the way. There's one bone here and another bone there. So to me, this is looking more like the animal bones. I don't know. Anyway, so that's just one thing I've noticed in the skull lately, that fissure thing. I'm not sure when that came up. That might be a little older one, but... Still waiting to see fire rainbows. I saw the fire clouds, whatever they're calling those. I saw a little one like twice now, but I have not seen the sky punch. That's one I have not seen. Yeah, that guy MBB333, I kind of have commented on some people. He kind of drives me crazy a little bit because he sees all this. He gets people send him a lot of stuff. He's a big channel, and I mean not the massivest of channels, but he's a big channel. He gets all this weird stuff. A lot of it sounds like he's seeing it for the first time, but he'll always just say it's rare. He'll never say. He rarely says, "Oh, it's the first time." He just go, "Oh yeah, it's really rare. Now it's gotten less rare." But he also did notice that the moon, the lighted part of the moon tips, and he mentioned that he never seen that before until recently. Somehow he didn't seem that freaked out by it. He said a couple other people also mentioned about the tipping moon. It was weird because he did that one video on it and that was it. And they went back to watching hurricanes and all that other stuff. I just, it kind of mystifies me that if you see the moon tipping for the first time in your life, and somebody like him who always is watching this stuff and has been documenting it for years, you just expect more flip out. I don't know. So that was one thing about him that in some ways, I feel like he's mainstreaming some of this stuff because he'll find out about it for the first time and go, "Oh yeah, this is just rare and really cool," and he'll say that for everything. So I don't know. There's just something that kind of weirds me out when he does that. But on the flip side, he's got a lot of good stuff on his channel, so it's definitely worth watching for that reason alone. And I'm not saying he has some kind of secret agenda or anything, but he just kind of dodges the ME, and maybe he just doesn't want to think about it too hard, like so many people. But something to keep in mind when you watch the channel, though. I mean, maybe he doesn't want to lose a bunch of his listeners by getting too weird. Who knows? Who knows? It's just outside with dogs, moon really yellow. Yeah, they're saying the moon orbit's really low during this season. That's why it's called strawberry moon. It's just a trip because it used to have the same orbit right across the top of the sky, really close to the top of the sky every night. There was not a different orbit. But now you got all these weird orbits. Just so happens you can see the moon less and less. Very suspicious. All right, anyway, it's getting late, 2:20 in the morning. So it's getting about that time for me to hit it. Yeah, I've been feeling like he's been becoming more mainstream as it goes along. Yeah, it's like he points out all this weird stuff, but he kind of gives the mainstream explanation for it every time. He'll just kind of say, well, stuff's a little bit weird. It just seems like stuff that's a whole lot weird. Oh, well, this is a little unusual. So, maybe he just doesn't want to admit how weird it is, or I don't know. I don't know. I haven't got quite. It just seems to me that if you see the moon tipping for the first time in your life, and this guy's not a spring chicken, and a bunch of other people saw it for the first time in their life, and you openly admit you've never seen that before, and you're a moon watcher, I mean, he'd just be like, "Oh, that's kind of weird, huh? You should be flipping out." I mean, I just don't get how he just doesn't flip out more. I mean, one of the reasons you don't see me flip out is because I knew about the Mandela effect for several years before I started doing videos. So I done a lot of flipping out and calming down. But you still see me kind of, some of these Mandelas. But if you look at the YouTube videos of people who started streaming or started doing videos right after they learned about the Mandela effect, you can see the look in their eyes like, you can see the freak out. And that's normal. That's a normal response. So I just think it's really strange that he just didn't. He just like acting like the kindly grandpa. Oh, that's kind of strange. The moon is turning this way and that. I don't remember seeing that before, huh? No, you should be flipping your gizzard. You should be questioning science. You should be going, hey, that's not possible. That's not logical. You should be really losing your cookies. I can understand these people say, well, I don't remember it. Okay, you don't remember it. You don't remember it. Some people just get scared and don't want to talk about it. I can understand that even. I don't, I don't want to look. This guy, he's openly admitting it, and he just talks like a friendly grandpa the whole time. That one just flipped me out. I don't know. Where is the proper freak out? I don't get it. He just acted like it was a tad strange. It was a little strange. Anyway, still, there's a lot of good stuff on the channel, so I don't want to be like dogging somebody. I just find that reaction really strange. I don't understand it. All right, anyways, it's getting about that magic hour, I think, for me to hit it. So, thank you all for coming, and thank you for the super chats. I appreciate you guys, as usual. Been very generous, and I appreciate that greatly. People have added some good stuff about the cat foxes and stuff. Lots of weird new stuff that's contributed by you guys as well, so I appreciate that. Hopefully I have credited everybody that deserves it. I feel like maybe I'm spacing out. Oh, yeah, I did. See, okay. Our Lady of the Rockies, that was contributed by Reinventing the Wheel TV. So I forgot. Yeah, I'm kind of spacing out today on the... where's the other page? I think was all my stuff. There wasn't a ton of side contributions, but this one was all mine. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that one was all mine. Okay, and then whoever did the black is cooler, I apologize for not getting your name. Yeah, I'll if I remember it next week, I'll mention it again. So anyways, thank you all for coming. Appreciate it. This is Eva signing out for Once Upon a Timeline.